In this video, I want us to look just down the left side of our Google Drive. I want to make sure you know what all of these items are and how to use them. The two most important for you will be My Drive, and that is where all the files that you create will go, and all the files that people share with you, you can put them here. This is your personal storage space. No one else has access to it, and no one will see any of the files or folders unless you explicitly share those things with someone else. The shared drive is exactly what it implies. If you click there, you won't see all of these other drives that I'm a part of. You will just see River Street School. And if you open that up, you will see all of the files that people at River Street are sharing with all of the other people at River Street. By default, anything that gets placed into the River Street School shared drive is automatically available to all of our professional staff, office staff, teachers, clinicians, and some of the paraprofessionals and associate instructors who've been given access to this folder for different projects. So a lot of people can see these files and folders. And unless you make some specific adjustments, most of those people can also edit those files and folders if they choose. So this is where you put something if you want everyone to see it. If you have a folder or a file that you want to share just with the office staff or just with a few teachers, that should go into My Drive, and then you'll set up the sharing on that one specifically. And we will do a whole video on sharing, so just hang on for that. What are the other things over here? In your correct Google Drive, you have something called Priority. And this is where you can put files that you use a lot. Now, first of all, it looks like right across the top, that quick access feature that we turned off in another video has reappeared. But that's because this is not a quick access feature. This is Google's artificial intelligence trying to make a judgment about what are priority files for me. And there will be more than just 4. There's a list of them. It does a pretty good job of somewhere in that list putting things that I have really worked on a lot recently or things that people have shared with me. So that feature is there. You can't disable it. Like it or not, that's going to be there, but I do like that a little better than the quick access feature just because it does a better job of picking files that I do want to work on. The more important part of the priority page are the workspaces. You can create a workspace, which means you're just giving a title to one of these little boxes. So you create a box and you give a title to it, and then you put files in it. And the idea is these are files that you use frequently, and these are files that relate to a theme. For example, I keep a lot of lists of hardware. I need serial numbers. I need to know who has it, who it got loaned to, who's asked for one. So these are my hardware list. I want them all grouped together. That's a quick way for me to get access to them. I can add more documents to this workspace. You can put up to 20 documents in a workspace. Up 25, sorry, my mistake. And it doesn't move them around in your Google Drive. If I had something stored in a particular file, it's still in that file. This just gives me a shortcut to go and find it. Most people probably don't use the priority page at all, but I just want you to know it's there, and I want you to understand what it's doing for you. If you have questions about setting it up and using it, I can certainly go into more detail with you personally about that. The rest of the items over here, shared with me. This is where every document goes that gets shared with you, and it will take a while for this to load because there will be hundreds, maybe even thousands by now. Anyone that has ever shared a folder with me, any conference where I've been a part of, or an online training or an online webinar. That's why some of these names over here certainly aren't people in our staff. And if I keep going, I will get down to just the files, all the files that have been shared with me. And it really will go into the thousands. And some people feel like, oh my goodness, This is like having an inbox with too much email. I've got to go in here and clean this up. Do not try. It is not your job to control the shared with me file. Things get thrown in there all the time. And if it's an important file to you, if someone shares an important file with you, you want to save it into My Drive. You don't want to have to come over here and find it. These are just the things that got left behind with all the sharing. Now, you may be wondering, how do you get something to My Drive from Shared with Me? And that's easy. You can just take it and drag it into your drive if it's something you want. But more likely, you're going to have a file that's open. So let's say we've got this file open. And if I wanted to move it to My Drive, I'm going to let it fully open. At the top of the page, you see the little drive icon and a plus sign. And that's where you would click and add it to My Drive. Now, understand, if someone shares a document with you and you add it to your drive, let me open this back up. If you add it to your drive, you're just maintaining a connection to that document, but you're putting it in your drive so you can find it better. But the document still belongs to the other person. If they delete the document, you lose the document. So if it's a document that you really want, you would come under File and make a copy. And you would put that copy in your drive. That way, if the other person deletes the original file, you still have it. I know that's a little tricky. Managing the Shared with Me folder is difficult. Try not to get too stressed out about it. If you need something that's in there, I can help you find it. We can do a search for it, and then we can move it into your drive. The recent files, these really are now things that you've worked on recently. And when I need to find something that I recently worked on, I would rather go here than to rely on that quick access feature we've talked about. This lists the things in order that I've worked on today, yesterday, last week, and so forth. It will just keep going. The final piece to look at is the starred feature. These are files and folders that I access really frequently and I want to have quick access to without trying to remember where are they located in My Drive. So anything in My Drive that's important, let's say this folder right here, School Messenger, you can see it has a star there. Once I hit the star, it shows up in my starred items. But even a file, if there was a file deep inside in this folder, inside this folder, if this was a file that I wanted to use a lot, I can right-click on it, add it to my starred list, and then I don't have to do all that clicking to find it. I would just go to starred, and there it is. So the starred list is really your personal shortcut list for files that you use all the time. Like this file here, our data for fall 2020. Once we move into the winter document and we have a different one, just take the star off. This one will go away. I'll replace it with the new one. So that is a review of the different items down the side of your page. You're going to use My Drive and Shared Drive a lot. You might use Recent a lot, and I encourage you to use Starred. The rest of those, they may not be things that you rely on very often, but I want you to understand what's there. Understanding those will help you organize all of your files inside Google Drive.